Chosen one, keep your heart still in this moment, because a truth that was once concealed is now stepping into the light. Not so that you may rejoice over anyone's downfall, but so that you may understand that no scheme against your peace can remain hidden forever. I, Archangel Michael, am beside you with steadfast protection and compassion, reminding you that whatever takes place in darkness must eventually face the light. Movements are occurring that your ordinary eyes cannot see. Truth is finding its way forward, lies are gradually losing their power, and the things that once caused you to doubt yourself are being restored to their proper place. You do not need to panic, nor do you need to speculate about who may be opposing you. I have not brought this message so that you will become suspicious of everyone around you, but to release you from the obsession that something evil can secretly control your destiny. No malicious statement has the authority to determine your future. No dishonest intention can erase the worth placed within you, and no trap is stronger than the discernment of a heart that chooses to stand with truth. There may once have been someone who carried anger, comparison, or jealousy toward you. They saw something within you that they had not yet learned how to build within themselves. And instead of healing their insecurity, they allowed those emotions to become hurtful words. Perhaps they spoke falsely about you, planted doubt in the minds of others, or secretly hoped that you would fail. But, my beloved child, do not immediately imagine that they are being punished through illness or mortal danger. I do not teach you to regard another person's suffering as evidence of your protection. Justice is not rejoicing when someone falls. It is the restoration of truth. The moment when the person who caused harm must face the consequences of their choices, and the person who was treated unjustly is no longer imprisoned by fear. The most dangerous poison is not contained within a bottle, but within bitterness, nourished for so long that it steals the peace of the person carrying it. When someone continually plants doubt, manipulation, and hatred, the first thing they often lose is the stillness within themselves. I want you to understand this with compassion rather than satisfaction. A person living in anger may believe that they are in control, but in truth, they are being ruled by their own emotions. Sharp words may make them feel powerful for a moment, only to leave an emptiness that continues growing. Plans to harm. Others may bring a temporary sense of victory, but they force the person who creates them to live anxiously, always fearing that the truth will be discovered, and always suspecting that others may treat them as they treated you. This is the natural consequence of dishonesty. I do not need to create disaster in order to take revenge upon them. By distancing themselves from love, truth, and compassion, they have already made themselves colder, more restless, and more exhausted. Therefore, when you recognize that someone is facing the consequences of their own behavior, keep your heart pure. Do not mock them, spread rumors, or add fuel to the fire. Allow truth to complete its work while you continue walking with dignity. Words were spoken about you in places where you were not present. Decisions were made without giving you an opportunity to explain. Someone may have chosen a distorted version of your story because that version served their purposes. I know how deeply that hurt you. You wondered why others believed something untrue so easily, why your kindness was interpreted as weakness, and why your silence was treated as an admission of guilt. Yet wise silence is not defeat. You do not need to run from place to place correcting every rumor, because those who truly understand your value will observe the way you live rather than relying only upon another person's account. Concealed things may survive for a season, but inconsistency eventually reveals itself. A liar must continually create new words to protect the previous story, while truth needs only to remain still and wait for the light to reach it. Now, the contradictions within their words are gradually becoming clear. Someone who once believed they could control how others viewed you may begin to realize that their influence is weakening. People who previously misunderstood you may notice details they once overlooked. A small action, a piece of evidence, or an apparently ordinary conversation may cause the truth to assemble itself into a complete picture. When that happens, I do not want you to use it as an opportunity for revenge. Do not turn your vindication into a weapon for humiliating someone else. Simply say what must be said, present what can be verified, and maintain clear boundaries. Justice restores order. It does not create another cycle of harm. When you refuse to become a bitter version of what once wounded you, you achieve a victory deeper than anything confrontation could provide. If you know that someone is genuinely threatening, harassing, deceiving, or attempting to harm you in real life, do not merely wait for invisible intervention. Preserve evidence, protect your personal information, seek trustworthy support, and use the appropriate resources available to you. Sacred protection does not require you to abandon wisdom. I may guide you through timely advice, a supportive person, a clear protective process, or the courage to speak what must be spoken. Do not face a real danger alone, merely because you believe you must prove your faith. Discernment is part of protection. You have the right to leave an unsafe place, lock the door that must be locked, end the contact that must be ended, and seek help when a situation exceeds what you can safely handle alone. At the same time, do not allow one harmful experience to make you view every woman, every acquaintance, or every unusual glance as an enemy. Fear may cause your mind to connect unrelated events into one enormous conspiracy. I do not want you to live in such constant vigilance that you become unable to trust anyone. Base your conclusions upon actions, evidence, and clearly repeated patterns, rather than accusing someone because of a feeling or an unclear message. If your heart remains continually unsettled, rest, speak with a mature and trustworthy person, and reconsider the situation after your mind has become calmer. What comes from the light will help you see clearly. It will not sweep you into endless suspicion. Genuine protection gives you discernment, rather than turning you into a prisoner of anxiety. The person who tried to harm you is also a human being who must confront the darkness within themselves. This does not mean you must allow them continued access to your life. Forgiveness does not require restoring access. You may hope that they change while still keeping your distance. You may release hatred while refusing to cooperate with dishonesty. You may wish them well without returning to the place where you were once harmed. Boundaries are not cruelty. They are how you protect the peace you worked so hard to rebuild. Allow consequences to teach them what your explanations could not, and do not place yourself in the position of trying to rescue someone who is unwilling to accept responsibility. The astonishing truth rising tonight is not that someone is about to be destroyed, but that you no longer need to live under the power of what they did. Curses, jealousy, and distorted stories are powerful only when you allow them to become the voice that determines how you see yourself. Now you are reclaiming that authority. You know who you are without needing another person's confirmation. You understand what you endured without forcing the one who harmed you to admit it. You can move forward without carrying the need to prove yourself, seek revenge, or win before a crowd. That is when the true trap collapses, not when the person who set it suffers, but when you are no longer drawn into their game. Therefore, my beloved child, stand firmly in integrity and allow the light to reveal what must be known. Do not answer bitterness with bitterness. Do not use your pain to create new pain. Preserve evidence when necessary, speak the truth calmly, and walk away from conversations intended only to pull you down. If someone is facing the consequences of their choices, allow them the opportunity to recognize their behavior, change, and seek healing. You do not need to become the one who administers punishment. Your role is to protect yourself, live honestly, and continue building your future. I am beside you not to announce the destruction of any woman, but to remind you that your kindness is not weakness, your wise silence is not defeat, and truth does not need darkness's permission before it can appear. What was quietly arranged against you will lose its authority as you walk with awareness, while you will emerge from this season with clean hands, a lighter heart, and a path no longer controlled by the past. My child, what that woman secretly prepared to harm you was unable to reach your life because every intention born from bitterness eventually forces the one who nourishes it to face its consequences. The words she planted, in an attempt to damage your reputation, are gradually exposing the dishonesty of the person who spoke them. The plans she believed had been arranged in complete secrecy have become a mirror reflecting the true motives within her heart. I am not saying that heaven is taking revenge or desiring her suffering. I want you to understand a deeper principle. When someone continually nourishes jealousy, they lose their own peace before they can steal the peace of anyone else. When they use lies to cover another person, they must live with the fear that truth will one day be uncovered. What she created turned back upon her, not through some cruel force, but through the natural consequences of unwise choices repeated for too long. Throughout that time, you were protected in ways you did not always recognize. There were conversations you never heard, plans that were unable to progress, and doors that unexpectedly closed before people whose motives were impure could approach you. You believed certain delays placed you at a disadvantage, but that very distance prevented you from entering the place where harm was being prepared. The shield surrounding you was not a wall that caused every harmful thing to disappear immediately. It was the discernment that gradually helped you recognize whom you could trust, where you should not return, and which words did not deserve a place within your heart. I protected you through intuitions that caused you to slow down, uneasiness that appeared at the right time, and courage that helped you say no, even when you could not fully explain why. When her intention failed to produce its desired result, what she attempted to throw toward you found nowhere to take root. It returned to its source in the form of anxiety, exhaustion, and the loss of trust from those who once remained close to her. Now is the time when what was concealed begins stepping into the light. Motives wrapped in sweet words, alliances formed through jealousy, and stories told in order to distort your image will gradually become unable to stand. Truth does not need to shout in order to prevail. It only needs enough time for its consistency to become visible. People who once hastily believed her may begin noticing contradictions. Those who quietly observed will recognize who is living honestly and who continually changes the story to protect themselves. I do not want you to run around, explaining everything to everyone. Do not allow this exposure to turn you into someone obsessed with proving another person wrong. Let your conduct, your way of living, and your calmness become the evidence. What is genuine does not need to be defended through chaos, and your dignity does not need to be built by diminishing someone else. What she intended to use against you is becoming confirmation that you were preserved from a danger you could not fully see. Yet that protection is not permission to rejoice over another person's downfall. Do not turn her pain into your victory. Genuine victory is that you preserved a pure heart after being treated unjustly. Learn to discern without becoming bitter, and established boundaries without developing a desire for revenge. I do not want your heart to become another version of what once hurt you. Let justice be revealed through your refusal to participate in degrading conflicts, answer words with more words, or use another person's shame as a source of pleasure. When you leave that cycle calmly, every scheme intended to drag you into chaos loses its power. However, to understand why everything went so far, you need to look more deeply at the origin of that woman's bitterness. No one awakens one morning and suddenly becomes a person who wants only to cause harm. Losing one's way usually begins with very small compromises. At first, she may simply have compared her life with yours and felt that it was unfair. Then she permitted herself to maintain a negative thought without correcting it. Afterward, she searched for people willing to agree with her, told the story in a way that made herself the victim, and turned you into the cause of everything she disliked about her life. Each time she did this, she moved farther from the truth. Jealousy that is not acknowledged becomes resentment, and resentment nourished for long enough may cause someone to believe that harming another person is justified. She did not always appear as unsettled as she does now. Had you seen her before everything began to be exposed, you might have believed the confidence she displayed. She walked as though she had everything under control, spoke with certainty, and behaved as though she possessed the right to judge your life. She believed that if she controlled the story, influenced what others thought, and created enough doubt, she could determine how you were perceived. Yet that outward certainty was only a garment covering a deeper fear. Someone who is truly at peace does not need to destroy another person's reputation in order to feel valuable. Someone who knows themselves does not need to treat another person's success as a personal insult. The more she attempted to appear powerful, the more she struggled internally with the fear that your light would expose the parts of her that remained unhealed. That darkness did not appear like a sudden storm. It entered gradually, like thin smoke moving through a narrow opening. Difficult to notice at first, but eventually filling the entire room. She was not born with bitterness in her heart. Perhaps she was once overlooked, compared unfavorably with others, or taught to believe that she possessed value only when she was better than someone else. Instead of confronting that pain and seeking healing, she chose to nourish thoughts that carried her farther from peace. Each day, she watered her jealousy by focusing upon what you possessed while forgetting what had been given to her. She preserved memories that caused anger and repeated them until they became excuses for distorted behavior. Those apparently small decisions gradually formed a road, and by the time she realized she had traveled too far, pride made her unwilling to turn back. Now, as what was hidden begins to be exposed, She may feel frightened, restless, and trapped within the story she created. But do not pray for her destruction. Pray that she becomes humble enough to stop before losing more of what is precious. Everyone must accept responsibility for their choices, but responsibility does not mean that they have no opportunity to change. The justice I want you to understand is not a hammer falling upon someone, but light restoring everything to its proper place. The person who did wrong must face the truth. The person who was harmed must be restored, and relationships built upon lies must be dismantled. If she genuinely acknowledges her wrongdoing, changes her behavior, and stops planting further harm, transformation can still begin. But you are not obligated to remain close enough to witness that process, nor must you reopen a door that once made you feel unsafe. I want you to use this exposure to grow rather than to become suspicious of everyone. Learn to recognize the signs you once overlooked. Praise accompanied by competition. Concern that continually attempts to collect your weaknesses, or a person who behaves warmly, only while you have achieved nothing that threatens them. Do not be afraid to ask questions when a story is inconsistent. Do not dismiss uneasiness merely because you want to preserve harmony. Yet do not accuse anyone without clear evidence. Wise discernment is always accompanied by calmness, observation, and time. You can maintain distance without starting a conflict. Protect your private life without living in fear. And leave an unhealthy relationship without turning it into a battle. My child, what was prepared against you could not destroy you, because you are no longer someone easily defined by lies. Your strongest shield is truth, integrity, and the ability to preserve peace amid circumstances that attempt to provoke a reckless response. Allow that woman to face the results she created, while you continue moving toward the light without carrying hatred. You do not need to look back at the trap that collapsed. You need only remember the lesson, preserve your boundaries, and never become what you once had to fight to escape. The protection I provide does more than help you avoid danger. It also preserves your heart from being transformed by that danger. Therefore, move forward with awakened eyes, clean words, and a peace that no longer depends upon whether another person has been exposed. My beloved child, the intention to harm you did not begin through a dramatic action. It emerged when someone quietly nourished jealousy and allowed dissatisfaction to lead them away from goodness. They viewed your joy as an insult to what they believed was missing within themselves, saw your progress as evidence that they were being left behind, and gradually came to believe that if your light were extinguished, they would finally have an opportunity to be seen. But understand this: a wounded heart that refuses healing can transform pain into bitterness, comparison into hatred, and the longing for recognition into a desire to destroy someone else. That road always begins with something small. A negative thought preserved for too long, a malicious statement never withdrawn, or secret satisfaction at another person's failure. When these things are not stopped, they may pull someone toward increasingly darker choices. Within this story, that person left what was familiar and entered a hidden place, as though attempting to conceal their intention from the light. The deteriorating house they entered represents not merely an outward location, but an inner condition neglected for too long. Its decaying doors symbolize moral boundaries that had been broken. Its shuttered windows symbolize an unwillingness to hear correction. The elderly woman sitting in darkness symbolizes distorted wisdom. Knowledge used not for healing, but transformed into an instrument of manipulation. When asked whom she wanted to destroy and why, the person spoke your name without hesitation, because within her mind, you had become the cause of everything she disliked about herself. She no longer saw you as another human being carrying personal battles. She saw only an image representing what she desired, but had not achieved. My beloved child, the truth is that your joy has never taken away anyone else's blessing. Your success does not make another person's door smaller. The light within you does not diminish theirs. Comparison blinded her and caused her to believe that the world had room for only one person to rise. When jealousy rules a person's heart, they no longer ask what they need to learn or change. They only seek to remove the person who makes them feel insecure. She wanted you silenced so that she would not have to face the inner voice calling her to grow. She wanted you to fail so that she would not have to examine the opportunities she had wasted. Yet harming you could never heal the wound within her. Extinguishing another person's lamp cannot make one's own inner room brighter. The black bottle placed in her hand represents false power. It caused her to believe she could control outcomes, manipulate destiny, and escape responsibility. The shimmering liquid inside appeared attractive because danger does not always present a frightening face at the beginning. It clothes itself in mystery, promises a quick path, and makes a desperate person feel that they finally possess power. Beside the bottle was a warning, but greed caused her to see only what she wanted to receive rather than read what she needed to understand. This is how many mistakes are formed. People focus intensely upon immediate gain while ignoring long-term consequences. They want victory without justice, power without responsibility, and another person to pay a price without considering what will happen within their own heart. No malicious intention passes through a person's life without leaving a mark. Even before outward consequences appear, it begins consuming the one who nourishes it from within. Hatred steals their sleep, jealousy prevents them from rejoicing over anything good, and obsession with you drains their life of the purposes they should have pursued. They believe they are preparing a trap for you, but every step they take is building a prison for themselves. When someone spends too much time watching the person they hate, they gradually neglect their own life. When they continually hope for your failure, they no longer possess enough energy to build their future. Therefore, the first consequence of evil is not always a dramatic event. Sometimes it is the loss of peace, direction, and the ability to recognize the goodness that remains directly before them. I do not want you to hear this story and begin living in fear, distrusting everyone, or believing that a secret force is pursuing you. What I want you to understand is that another person's malice does not possess the authority to determine your identity or future. You do not need to retaliate, monitor their every action, or exhaust yourself trying to discover what is being said behind your back. Genuine protection does not make you obsessive. It helps you live with awareness. If someone repeatedly insults, manipulates, or attempts to harm you, establish clear boundaries, preserve evidence when necessary, seek trustworthy support, and leave unsafe circumstances. But do not treat every glance, silence, or difficulty as evidence that someone is placing a curse upon you. I guide you through peace and discernment, not panic. What that person intended to use to pull you down cannot accomplish its purpose if you refuse to enter the same darkness. The most dangerous trap is not the words they direct toward you, but the temptation to become like them. If you answer hatred with hatred, you allow them to pull you away from your goodness. If you spend every day hoping they are punished, your heart remains bound to the very person you want to escape. Therefore, entrust justice to the one who sees the entire truth. While your responsibility is to protect your dignity, keep your actions honest, and refuse to let bitterness make its home within you. Forgiveness does not mean permitting someone to continue harming you. It means refusing to allow their behavior to control the rest of your life. I will not allow another person's intention to erase the goodness planted within you. Their words are not stronger than the truth of your worth. Their jealousy cannot close a door. You have become mature enough to enter. You may still need to face practical consequences caused by their behavior, but you will not pass through them alone. I will give you wisdom to recognize what is unusual, courage to say no, and calmness so that you do not make decisions in anger. I will also use this experience to teach you the difference between someone who is sincere and someone who only pretends to be close, between genuine counsel and words covered with kindness while containing competition underneath. My beloved child, remember that light does not need to fight darkness by becoming darkness. It only needs to continue shining. You do not need to prove your innocence to everyone, nor do you need to chase after every rumor and correct it. Allow the consistency of your life to answer on your behalf. Let your peace, your results, and the way you treat others reveal who you are. The person who planted destructive intentions will eventually have to face what they nourished, not because you took revenge, but because every choice creates a road, and every road leads to a corresponding result. As for you, move forward without carrying fear. What was built upon lies will reveal its weakness, while what was built through sincerity will remain standing over time. I am beside you, protecting you through discernment, preserving your heart from bitterness, and leading you away from every place that is no longer safe. The trap does not need to become the place where you remain. It is only something you recognize, step beyond, and leave behind as you continue your journey toward the light.